people will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd. Very, very big.
Former President Donald Trump announced on Thursday that he intends to award the nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, posthumously to Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist who was assassinated in Utah on Wednesday. Welcome viewers to my channel. Please subscribe, like my video and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. The announcement came during Trump's solemn address at the Pentagon, where he had gathered with military leaders, veterans, and families of victims to commemorate the anniversary of the September 11th attacks. The occasion, already heavy with reflection and remembrance, took on an even deeper emotional tone as Trump paused his remarks to acknowledge the sudden and shocking loss of Kirk, a figure he described as a giant of his generation. Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans feel at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk, Trump said at the outset of his speech. His voice carried both sorrow and conviction as he remembered the young activist. Charlie was a champion of liberty, a defender of free speech, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people across this country. He was taken from us far too soon. Trump went on to speak warmly about Kirk's family, addressing his widow and children with words of compassion. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Erica, and with his beautiful children, fantastic people, truly wonderful, he said. We miss him greatly, but I have no doubt that Charlie's voice, his courage, and the passion he put into the hearts of countless people, especially the young, will live on for generations. The Presidential Medal of Freedom, first established by President John F. Kennedy in 1963, is reserved for individuals who have made, especially meritorious contributions, to the United States in the fields of national security, cultural development, world peace, or other significant public or private endeavors. Trump, who has used the medal during his presidency to honor both cultural icons and political allies, said Kirk's contributions to political life, particularly his ability to energize young conservatives, made him deserving of this recognition. Although no date has been set for the official ceremony, Trump assured his audience that when the moment comes, it will be marked by a massive outpouring of support. I can only guarantee you one thing. We will have a very big crowd, very, very big, he declared. His comments drew knowing laughter from those familiar with both Trump's showman instincts and Kirk's ability to draw thousands to rallies and events. Following his speech, Trump spoke briefly with reporters while returning to the White House. He revealed that he had already spoken by phone with Erica Kirk earlier that day. We had a long talk, and she's devastated, absolutely devastated, he said with visible empathy. He also noted that he planned to reach out to other members of the Kirk family later in the evening to personally convey his condolences. Vice President J.D. Vance, along with his wife Usha, also traveled to Utah on Thursday to be with the Kirk family in their time of mourning. In a gesture that underscored both his respect and his solidarity, Vance was seen helping carry Kirk's casket to Air Force Two for the solemn journey to Phoenix. The sight of the vice president lending his hands to the casket offered a symbolic reminder of the gravity of the moment and the esteem with which Kirk was held in conservative circles. Charlie Kirk, who co-founded Turning Point USA in 2012 at the age of 18, rose to prominence as one of the most influential conservative activists of his era. Under his leadership, Turning Point grew from a small grassroots effort into a national powerhouse with a presence on more than 3,000 high school and college campuses across the United States. The organization's mission, to promote principles of limited government, free markets, and individual responsibility, resonated with a generation of students hungry for conservative representation in academic environments often perceived as dominated by progressive voices. Turning Point USA's events quickly became must-attend gatherings for conservative politicians and media figures eager to engage with young voters. High-profile speakers such as Donald Trump Jr., Senator Ted Cruz, and Governor Ron DeSantis frequently appeared at the group's summits. Trump himself often attended Turning Point's national conferences, both during his presidency and while on the campaign trail, recognizing the group's strategic role in mobilizing a new wave of conservative activists. Kirk's skill as a communicator and organizer made him a familiar figure not only on campuses but also in national media. His commentary, often delivered with sharp rhetoric and unapologetic conviction, earned him a large following among grassroots conservatives. Yet, for many young people, it was his ability to frame conservative ideas as empowering and forward-looking that made him stand out. He positioned himself as a mentor to the next generation of leaders, someone who urged them to embrace responsibility and civic engagement. Trump's decision to award Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom ensures that his legacy will be permanently enshrined in American history. Beyond the political implications, the gesture is also deeply personal, reflecting the relationship between the two men. Trump has long credited Kirk and Turning Point USA with helping galvanize youth support during the 2016 and 2020 elections, as well as during his most recent return to the political stage. For Erica Kirk and their children, the days ahead will undoubtedly be filled with grief, but also with the knowledge that Charlie's impact has been recognized at the highest level. And for many Americans, particularly those whose lives were touched by his activism, the announcement provides both a measure of comfort and a renewed call to continue the work he championed. In honoring Kirk's life, Trump sought not only to mourn the loss of a conservative leader but also to rally those who believed in his vision. As the nation continues to process the shock of his assassination, the image of a Medal of Freedom draped in memory of Charlie Kirk will serve as a lasting symbol of the passion, conviction, and influence he brought to American political life. The story of Charlie Kirk cannot be told without understanding the organization he founded, Turning Point USA (TPUSA). Established in 2012, TPUSA began humbly, with Kirk as an ambitious teenager traveling the country in search of support. He often described how he skipped traditional college life to build the movement he envisioned, spending long hours crisscrossing campuses, networking with donors, and convincing students that they, too, could shape the future of the nation. At first, the group's presence was modest. Kirk and a handful of young activists would set up tables in student unions, handing out pamphlets and sparking debates about free markets and constitutional values. Many students ignored them, others argued, but slowly, word spread. Kirk's relentless energy and knack for organization transformed what was once a small project into something far larger. By the mid-2010s, TPUSA had exploded onto the national stage. Its mission statement, to identify, educate, train, and organize students to promote the principles of freedom, free markets, and limited government, resonated with conservatives who felt increasingly alienated on campuses they believed were dominated by progressive ideology. The organization's events became headline-making spectacles. Annual conferences like the Student Action Summit in Florida or the Young Women's Leadership Summit in Texas drew thousands of attendees. High-profile Republicans, from senators to governors, lined up to speak, recognizing that TPUSA was not just an activist group but a pipeline for the future of conservatism. Trump himself appeared at multiple TPUSA events, both as president and as a candidate. In those settings, he was welcomed not just as a political leader but as a cultural icon. The cheers, chants, and energy of the young crowd reinforced his belief that conservatism was not merely surviving among America's youth, but thriving. Kirk, meanwhile, became a constant presence on television, podcasts, and social media. His voice carried weight well beyond campus walls. He embodied the idea that the next generation of leaders could be young, outspoken, and unapologetically conservative. The bond between Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk was not accidental. It was forged in the fires of political campaigns, mutual admiration, and shared vision. Trump's rise to the presidency in 2016 was unconventional. He was an outsider, a disruptor, a man dismissed by many as unelectable. Yet he tapped into a wave of populist energy that few had predicted. In those crucial months, Charlie Kirk and TPUSA recognized an opportunity. While other conservative organizations hesitated to align too closely with Trump, Kirk went all in. Turning Point became a vehicle to mobilize young voters for Trump's campaign. Its chapters on campuses organized rallies, debates, and voter drives. Its social media presence, amplified by Kirk's commentary, created a bridge between Trump's message and younger audiences. Trump never forgot that loyalty. From the early days of his presidency, he often praised Kirk publicly, calling him a great guy and a very smart young man. At TPUSA conferences, Trump sometimes spoke of Kirk with fatherly pride, highlighting the activist's ability to inspire. Their alliance was mutually beneficial. Kirk gained legitimacy from Trump's embrace, while Trump gained access to an energized youth movement that many Republicans had previously struggled to reach. Together, they symbolized a new dynamic in American politics, one where conservative ideas were not confined to older generations but were being reimagined for the